Yo, welcome to the Broke Entrepreneur Podcast. Did I say that right? Broke Entrepreneur Podcast.
Yeah.
It doesn't roll off the tongue.
It does me. Broke
me.
Entrepreneur Podcast.
Broke Entrepreneur Podcast. This is our second episode.
Episode
I
number
am
2.
your host, Chach. I'm Chach. This is my co-host.
Alton,
Yeah,
host, co-host, all the hosts.
man. Yeah, man. We host, man. We host this shit, man.
Making it happen.
Hey, man, let's just jump right into it. Last episode we talked about credit. Well, we're gonna bring you guys credit. Talk about some credit today. So, man, let's talk about some
What
credit.
about the first-time listeners that may not know who we are?
Oh, that's right, man. If you're just joining us, thank you. We love you guys already. If you guys are here for the first time, I'm Chach. I took a more of a untraditional route to become an entrepreneur or business owner. Alton here took a more of a traditional route, went to college, man, got a master's, right?
Masters.
You know what I mean?
all the good
Making
stuff.
$100,000 a year and stuff like that. And then he just became a business owner, right? Because entrepreneurism is in your blood, right, bro?
It's in the blood. So if you guys want to know more about that, go back and check out episode 1.
Check out episode 1, man. Episode 1 was super dope.
Yeah.
We gave a lot of shout outs.
Shout-outs. It's definitely a thing.
Episode 1. I got notes again, right? So, man, what's going on, man? Since the last time we talked, man, the last time we see each other.
Man, since the last time we talked, business-wise, I've finally put together all the photos for my ads.
Okay.
I got my top 10 ad angles.
And that's for what
So
company?
my sports consulting company.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've done that.
AC Consultants?
AC Sports Consulting.
Okay.
Yes, sir. That's what it is.
All right.
That's how we do it out here. VersaFit, my other startup company, has since finalized our pivot.
Nice.
Right. So we're actually going to go into B2B for like healthcare and sports. So try to basically make sure people do better with their corporate wellness.
Okay, I remember you talking about that last time.
Yeah. So
How's that going, man?
we officially made a decision. So I started putting out some feelers.
Okay.
I got a couple interests, got a couple leads.
Nice.
So hopefully by the turn of the year we can close some of these deals.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
You want to know what I'm doing?
Yeah. What are you doing?
I'm doing what I was doing last week, man.
Oh.
Yeah, man, I'm just trying to acquire clients. Just following up, working on client stuff. And on the side, man, building my fitness business. You know about my fitness business?
I do know about your fitness business, but they don't know about your fitness business.
Listen, man, my fitness business, I've been working on this thing and kind of not working on this thing. But next year, man, I really want to push it. For those of you know or don't know, my passion is fitness, man. I love fitness, you know? So I want to start an online personal training business where I can help people lose weight, right? Get the body they want, right? Or even gain weight, man. Gain muscle for the skinny guys right up there.
Games?
Yeah, make it the gains, man. You know what I'm saying? You see this? So yeah, that's what we've been up to. So let's jump right in it. My notes say we should talk about credit. And did you grow up with credit? Did you not grow up with credit? I did not.
Okay.
In my house, my parents taught me to don't get any credit cards because credit is bad. Very bad. And you can get into debt. And you don't want to get into debt. You know, so that's all I knew. That's all I knew about credit. I knew nothing else. I didn't know how it works, why you need it, right? So I ended up getting credit cards anyway. Because I was like, you get free money, man. You just apply, and you get free money.
Yeah.
And then you could just swipe and spend it.
Swipe it?
That's pretty cool. I don't have to work for it or nothing. Right? So obviously I got into debt.
Like most Americans.
Like most people, because they have no idea what credit is. What's the deal with no one teaching us about credit? What's the deal, man? Does no one know?
I mean, I think people do know. I mean, my theory is we're in a country that's designed to put people into debt, which is stupid. But I think it happens that we just don't get enough education early on about finances. Because if you did, a lot more people would buck the system. That's just my personal assessment.
Well, it's a business.
It's a huge business.
It's a business, man.
But that business is also bankrupting the country. So
I
it's
see.
not a private business But hey, I mean, it works.
It does work, man. So what about you, man?
So growing up, it was just as bad. My parents didn't know anything about credit. My parents complained a lot about credit scores because they thought that having good credit meant paying your bills on time, and that really has nothing to do with your credit unless you don't pay your bills. If you don't pay your bills, then yeah, it fucks up your credit. But just paying your bills on time doesn't help you. So that's what I was always taught. Oh, you just grow up, you pay your bills on time, you'll have a good credit score, and these things will happen. And I found out that couldn't be further from the truth. And I mean, my credit score was horrendous. I mean, I had a lot of situations that happened, identity theft and all those things, but my credit score my credit score was 434 in college. So that was extremely bad.
434, I thought it. Oh yeah, I guess that's probably the lowest you can possibly get.
It's probably somewhere. I think 400 is like the lowest you can get.
I want to say, man, like 430, 450. Don't quote me on that. But I feel like that's pretty fucking low.
It was terrible. I had a horrible credit.
Well, stay tuned because we're going to talk about ways on how to build your credit, right? Get a lot of money and either leverage credit, or spend other people's money for your business, to grow your business.
Yeah.
Right? So, man, stay tuned, man. Listen to this whole podcast.
Definitely going to be some good information.
And definitely, man, we know as entrepreneurs, especially broke entrepreneurs, we need some money. We always need some money. Right? So, man, why is credit important? Why do you think credit is important? Like, you hear about credit. I think on a basic level, people know that you can't get a good interest rate for a car without good credit, or get into an apartment, right? Or people don't know that. Some people might not know that.
Buying houses.
That's another one.
Sometimes it has an effect on your job.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, actually hurt me negatively coming out of college. Got offered a position to manage a testing department, and my credit score was too low. I think they might have changed that recently, where they can no longer hold that against you. But I know back in the mid 2000s they could.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think credit is important not only for those reasons, but just for being able to borrow money and finance yourself as well as your business. Plus, there's so many benefits of having a good credit score, and it's not a hard thing to do. But a lot of people think that it's hard.
I thought it was hard.
Yeah.
I thought it was hard. I had no idea that we even really needed credit for business, man. But you can't even apply for a proper business loan without good credit, right?
You can't. You definitely can't get a good business loan without good business credit or personal credit. But before you even get there, like you can't even get like business credit without good personal credit. So you gotta.
So what's the difference, man? So you have personal credit.
Yes.
Right. That's for the apartments. Get other credit cards, buying a house, car. And then if you have a business, then you have business credit.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand.
Your business is a separate entity, so your business can also apply for lines of credit, business loans if you're making enough money to get a business loan, and they're both equally important in my opinion, especially for an entrepreneur. And being able to smartly leverage both of them will allow you to maximize the amount of money you can borrow to finance your business.
Okay. Do you need that though?
Yes.
Do you need that? What if you have like a little, say you have like a little Shopify store, right? Which is like an e-commerce store. You're selling stuff online, right? Maybe you're selling like T-shirts or something.
Yeah.
Right? Do you need to have credit to do something like that? Do you need to apply for a business loan to get something like that off the ground?
No. I mean, you don't need it. You never really need anything, but I mean, it's a smart thing to do. You definitely want to have it. You get your so we're kind of bouncing back and forth between personal and business. So I think this question is more focused on business. So the reason why it's a good idea to have business credit is because you can put all those expenses for your Shopify site on your business credit card, and that way it doesn't affect you personally. So
because you're broke.
Yeah, because you're broke and you don't want to ruin, in case your Shopify store doesn't go well,
Right.
you don't want to ruin your personal credit when it's when realistically it's all about this business. So if the business folds up, the business credit folds up, and then your personal credit's still fine.
Okay. So the business credit, whatever you spend, doesn't affect your personal credit.
No, it only affects your business credit.
Okay. So how do you find out how much credit you have? How do you find out what your score is on your personal credit, and then what your score is for your business credit?
Your personal credit, I just pretty much use Credit Karma. That's the only site that I use.
Okay.
In terms of my business credit, I have a personal banker with Bank of America who kind of keeps the track of that for me.
Okay.
I get a notification in the mail, so I'm not sure what the other options for that are. But I get it from the bank that I borrow money from.
So you can't look that up on Credit Karma?
Your business credit? I don't see it. I've never seen an option for it, so I don't think so.
I use Credit Karma because that's free, right? However, Credit Karma is not like, it doesn't really check in real time. Like, I feel like it's a lot slower than like if you was using Experian, which is, I think you could sign up for Experian for free, and it does the same thing as Credit Karma, but you can pay, I think, if you're a new customer, you can pay like $1 or something like that for the trial, and then you get the real time, like, credit score and activity and things that are happening. But then after that, it's like a membership, like $27 a month or something like that.
Yeah.
Or you can use NerdWallet. NerdWallet is free too. It's like Credit Karma. You know, you can check your credit score.
Yeah.
You know, but you need that as an entrepreneur.
You do.
Right? Especially if you're running ads,
Yeah.
like Facebook ads, to draw traffic to your business.
Yeah.
Or something.
I think we should back it up a little bit though.
Let's back it all the way up.
Before we dive too much onto the business side,
we're going back to the personal side?
Personal side.
Okay.
And we kind of need to tell people maybe some quick tips on how they can build their personal credit, because in order to get a business line of credit,
Okay.
a business credit card, you still need good personal credit.
See, here's the tips I was talking about in the beginning.
Yeah. Yes.
I said in the beginning, we're going to give them some tips.
Yes.
Here, these are the tips. Actually, you just gave them tips, man.
What?
The Credit Karma's a tip.
Well, that's checking your score. That's not going to help you.
That's a tip, though.
It is.
Some people probably don't know. They're probably listening to it right now like, I don't know what my credit is, man. Now they can find out. That's what's up, man. You're just giving out some good tips.
Okay. It's pretty basic, but okay.
Yeah. So Credit Karma or NerdWallet or Experian, you can .com. You can go check your credit score and see, you know, where to start from. But what if you have zero credit? Like, what is if you have zero credit? Does that mean you have a score? You have no score? Does that mean you start like when you have 430?
Everybody has a credit score, but they may not have credit history. So you're going to need to establish a credit history.
Okay.
So for me, my first tip would be to get a secured credit card. That's what I did. In college, Bank of America recruiter was on campus, and I was still in the mind state of credit cards are bad, don't need a credit card. He talked me into getting a secure credit card. I had to put down $100 cash for a $300 secure credit card.
See, I never heard that one.
Yeah.
I thought a secure credit card. Actually, you know what? Let's get into what you need, right? What you need if you have no credit. What are the first steps? Should we get into that, or should we give like an overview of how credit works. Like, what are like the different components in it? Because it's a game, man. Credit it's like I feel like it's like a psychological game. It's to test like your discipline on your desires. Because if you get a bunch of money in credit, what's the first thing you're gonna do?
Just gonna buy a whole bunch of shit you don't need.
Exactly, man. But if you don't, you kind of just pace yourself out, right?
Yeah.
You can actually like benefit off of it, right?
Tremendously.
So before we get into what you said, hold that thought, man. Hold that thought on the secure credit card. Hold it, man. Hold it all the way in. Hold it close to your heart.
Holding it.
All right, so help me out with this too. So this is how credit works. Is it 6 sections, right? That can affect your credit. Okay. One of the biggest ones is utilization, right?
Yes.
And that's like your overall credit, how much credit line you have, with all your different credits, right? And if you spend too much, let's say you spend 90% of everything, then you're in the bad. You don't want to spend up to 90%. So if you have a car that's $500, let's say you only have one car, and that's $500 on there, and you spend $490, you're gonna be at what? 98%?
Yeah.
99, I don't know, something like that. You're gonna be in the poor. That's not good. You want to keep it. I thought that you need to keep it at 29%, right? But I learned that I think the best is 9% actually. Keep it at 9%. So if you have 500, you need to be keeping it at. I should have did $100 because I don't know the math on this at all.
Clearly.
Okay, let's go to. If it's $100, right? Then you can spend $9, and that'll be 9%.
Yeah, but I think you're still looking at it a little wrong.
Okay.
That's just how much you can carry over.
Right.
So, like if I had, like I said, I had a $300 credit card. I would spend up to $300 all the time, but I would never carry that full balance over because I had more than $300 to pay it off.
Right.
So you don't want to carry more. Me personally, I don't carry more than 10% over to the next bill. I always go in and pay down that amount.
Okay.
Like I don't spend money on things that I don't really need unless it's in an emergency, because that's what it's really for.
And for running a business.
Yeah.
You need it.
Somewhat personal though.
Okay.
So
that's right.
I'm not trying to put any of my business stuff on my personal cards.
So on your personal card, so use it when you need it, and then pay it off at least 10%, 9%, at least, or just pay it all the way down. I feel like you don't want to pay it all the way down because that hurts you.
It doesn't.
It doesn't hurt.
It does not hurt you. I personally recommend that you use your credit card the same way you use your debit card.
That's a good tip. I heard that before.
You spend the money on things that you already know you're gonna buy, and then you pay it off. Because that's gonna continue to give you points and give you credit history, and you're gonna earn all kinds of rewards for constantly using your card. As long as you're not going out and buying things you don't need, like you don't need a 60-inch TV tomorrow, like that's just pointless.
I do.
Yeah,
I do need a 60-inch TV.
Yeah, just because
I think my TV's like 42, man. It's not even a smart TV.
You don't need that. And then you'll get that letter in the mail saying, "Hey, we just increased your credit line from $5,000 to $10,000."
Wow.
And then people get excited and they're like, "Oh, I got $10,000 for credit.
Yeah, man.
Let me go buy something I don't really need."
Yeah.
That's not what you do.
That's probably how most people get in trouble.
Yeah.
That's how I got in trouble. I got in trouble. They didn't even increase my credit line. I just started spending money and never paid it.
Happens to a lot of people.
All right, so you got utilization. You wanna not run that up, okay, to 100%.
Yeah.
Basically, you'll be in the poor. The next section is accounts. Okay, how many accounts you have open. Now that doesn't mean you gotta have a bunch of credit cards, right? Because you have to have a bunch of accounts open, right? I learned that actually 21 accounts is good, man. It's very good. It's very good in that section, right? That sounds like a lot.
It does.
That sounds like a lot. But wealthy people have like 21 accounts and up.
Yeah.
So does that mean they got 21 credit cards?
They
You know?
could, but probably not.
Probably not, or probably so. Do you have to have? That sounds like a lot of credit cards, man. I would be tempted to spend all of those.
I have 4 personal credit cards, 4 business cards, 2 debit cards.
2 debit cards.
Yeah.
So how did we get to 21 accounts? Does a car loan count as an account?
Yep.
Does a personal loan count as an account?
Yep.
Okay. So that's
Personal loan, car note, anything that you're borrowing money as a line of credit. Your mortgage.
Oh, your mortgage.
Yep, that's
Okay,
a line.
so you can have 10 credit cards, a mortgage,
Or multiple mortgages.
or multiple mortgages if you're balling out of control. A car, 2 cars, right? And then you can get up there, right? Or you can just go out there and just get 21 credit cards, right?
I don't recommend that. But yeah.
So it's a good idea. It's a good idea to have more accounts open. I used to think it was a bad idea to have that many accounts, but it's a good idea. You know, that's just how the game of credit works. Man.
Yeah.
What's another section? Age of history.
Credit history, yeah. Just
So
gonna say
like, it's probably best, man. I mean, we missed the boat. We owe the shit, but we probably should have got credit when we were like 16.
Yeah.
Right. That way, our credit age of history, you want to get it up to 9 years.
Yeah.
Right.
that.
So
If you're a parent out there and you're listening and you have teenage kids or kids getting ready to go into college,
yeah, man.
open a credit card for them.
But don't give it to them.
Well, if they know how to use it, yes, for emergencies, but you want to build their credit history as early as possible.
How early? I read somewhere you can start as early as 14.
I don't know what the age is. I mean, I just know if you have teenagers, it's a good idea. I mean, I met a couple kids whose parents did that for them, and it was great for them in college.
Wow.
They come out 21, 22 years old out of college with a perfect credit score.
Wow, and they probably can get a lower interest rate on their student loans.
Yeah.
Because they have established credit. Where most people are applying for college, they don't even have any established credit. So they apply for a student loan, and they probably have a high as hell interest rate. Man.
Yeah, my loan was 6.8%.
That's pretty high on what, 40,000, 50,000?
Yeah, I wish. Yeah, I have $330,000 in student loan debt.
That's a lot, man.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
That's a lot. You
It's
still paying
a lot of
that?
education.
You still paying that?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money, man.
It's a lot of education.
That's a lot. Okay, so moving on to the next section. The next section is hard inquiries, man. What is a hard inquiry?
A hard inquiry is basically every time you open a new line of credit, which is why I say don't rush to open 21 lines of credit, because if you open a new credit card, that's a hard inquiry. You buy a car, it's a hard inquiry. You go get a new apartment, mortgage, those are all hard inquiries.
And in some accounts, too, if you ask for a credit line increase,
A credit line increase is a hard inquiry.
not on every card, though. Not on every card.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm
There's
not
a
sure what
website I know, but I don't know off the top of the head. I will link that in the description, because we can put stuff in the description
You
on
can do that.
podcasts.
Yeah, you do that. But yeah, so I mean, and they sit on your credit for 2 years.
Okay.
So if you've had 7, 8, 9 hard pulls in 2 years, then it's not looking too good on your credit. So that's why you slowly add your accounts over time.
But hard increase doesn't affect your credit as much as utilization.
It doesn't.
Okay, so that's how hard inquiries work. What's another section? I feel like we ran through 4 sections. Another one is that might be it.
I think that's it. I don't really know too many off the top of my head.
Okay, let's run through them again, man. We have utilization.
Utilization,
Okay. We have credit history.
credit history,
We got hard increase.
hard inquiries,
Oh, I forgot about derogatory marks. If I'm saying that correctly.
Derogatory marks?
Yep. Derogatory marks are when you go into collections, right? Basically, it's like a hard hit in a negative way.
That's a really bad one. So that's that's before even going into collections. That's just not paying your bills on time or your credit card bill on time. You get a hard derogatory mark. Going into collections is like taking that and then like blowing it up. I mean that could drop your credit score well over 100 points.
Wow, that's happened to me, man.
I believe it.
I had no idea. One of our brothers told me, he was like, you know what, don't pay your credit cards. You know, what is the worst that can happen?
Yeah. That's well that.
I took his advice, man, and
Terrible advice.
I definitely did that.
I mean, that's terrible advice. I mean, it could be good advice depending on the situation.
Well, that's how I got into debt.
Yeah. I mean, if you're, this is a quick sidebar. If you're already in debt, which a lot of people are, and you're not starting in debt. If you're already in collections, not if you're in debt. If you're just in debt, pay your debt. But if you're already in collections for a lot of things, a lot of cards or whatever, do not pay them until they give you a official letter that says that they will remove it from your credit score before you pay them. Otherwise, it is a waste of your money and a waste of your time because you're going to pay down the credit and the marks are still going to be on your credit.
That sounds like a tip.
That's a great tip.
Man, that's really good, man.
So make sure you get that handwritten letter, well, not handwritten, but that official letter saying that, hey, if you pay this amount, we will take this mark off of your credit immediately.
Because what if you pay it, you don't get that letter, and they don't take it off?
Yeah,
you paid it for nothing.
It happened to me. Had a bad roommate situation in college. The apartment was in my name. I covered the rent for a couple months, and then the guys never paid rent. And then we were unable to pay the last month's rent before we moved out. Got hit with that on my credit score. When I had to go back and get a new apartment, they saw that on my score, so I had to pay to get it off. And I didn't know that. So I just went and paid the debt, but it still stuck to my credit score.
Wow.
And it stuck on my credit score for over 2 years before I finally found someone who told me, like, hey, you just got to go in there and call them, like, hey, yo, I paid this debt. Take this off of my credit score.
Right, because once they get their money, they don't care about having that on your credit score or not.
Yeah.
Right? You can even wait it out sometimes, too. I've seen this happen. If you wait it out, they will give you a lower amount to pay.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true. I mean, I don't recommend doing that one. I mean, unless you...
I'm just saying it happens, man.
Happens.
That is not a tip. But I'm just saying, that's what happens, man. Sometimes they say, if you pay 40% of this, and then, 40% of your credit, then, because what happens is other companies buy, right, your credit, right? They buy your credit.
They buy your debt.
They buy your debt, and they, I guess it works like they assume that they're not going to get the money anyway, so they buy the debt for cheaper, and then they're pretty much willing to take almost anything at that point.
You buy, I mean, I know a guy, well, I don't know him, he's a former, colleague of mine. He owns a company that's all they do. They just go out and they just buy a ton of debt, knowing that most of the debt isn't going to convert, but the ones that do convert. And my friend, you know my friend, I don't want to say her name on the air.
Oh, your friend, man, I know exactly who you're talking about.
You know her.
Yep.
She lives with me.
Oh.
So yeah,
she lives with you, man.
Yeah.
I gotta know who she is.
Yes, of course.
But you do have 2 roommates.
I have the one you really know for a lot longer time. Don't want to put her name on the air. But
Shout out to unknown.
Yes, you know what it is. Anyway, so she worked in that industry.
Okay.
Okay. That was her job, was collections, and she made an insane amount of money. You make 6 figures as an employee. So imagine what the owner of the company is making. And all her job was to go out and call people who had debt and get them to settle for a lot less than they owe.
Exactly. That's what I was talking about, man.
Yeah.
I must be knowing what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So it's a great business if you want to get into it. I mean, it's not something I could do morally because I feel bad.
Doesn't sound fun at all, man.
Yeah, you're calling people who are already broke and telling them to pay you.
You gotta have tough skin for that.
Yeah, I mean, I have tough skin, but I would feel bad about calling someone.
I probably would feel bad too, man. I would feel bad too, but it does sound like a lucrative business.
Yeah.
Because everybody's in. Most people are in debt, right?
It's true.
Which brings me to my next point. I figured it out, man. The next section is payments.
Yes.
Paying your bills on time is its own category as well. And you want to make sure you pay that on time every time. Right? Because then you're in the good.
Yeah.
You're in the good. You're in the green.
And if you can, split your payments.
Why would you want to do that?
It just helps your score go up faster because you get more points for paying not only on time but paying early. So
you told me that, man.
Yeah, so that's one of the tricks that I used to really jumpstart my credit was I split my payments. I'd pay 50% well ahead of time and then pay the other 50% a day before on anything that allowed me to do split payments. And so that worked really well with my car payments because instead of paying my car payment at that time was $434 a month, I would pay $600 for the month, but I paid $300 in the beginning of the month and $300 the day before my car payment was actually due. So constantly getting more and more payment marks, on my credit.
Wow, so split your payments.
Yeah, if the company allows you to do that.
Okay, so if you have a credit card and your bill is $50, you pay one half, right?
I always pay over. I always pay over what the minimum is. Because you're paying the minimum, you're never going to pay your credit card off. You're never going to pay your debt down.
That's if you have interest rates.
Yeah, most people are going to have interest rates. If your car payment is going to have an interest rate, if your mortgage is going to have an interest rate, pay more.
Pay more, man.
Make sure it's significant, right? I mean, if it's like $490 and you pay $500, that's not really going to make much of a difference.
Okay.
But I was paying nearly an extra $200 a month, so by the time, instead of it taking me 5 years to pay off my car, it took me a little over 4 years. So like 4 years and like 2 months, my car was paid off.
That's what's up, man. So always pay more.
I always pay more, as long as you can afford it.
Okay.
Paying the minimum is just the minimum. It takes forever to pay it off.
I think that was the last one. That was all the sections. So if you play this like a game, right?
Yeah.
Then you can win.
Yes.
And
win it all.
You can win it all, man. The goal here is to try to get up to, what is the highest credit score you can get? 850?
I think something like that.
850, man. That's some good credit right there. You could go all kind of shit with 850.
Yeah. I mean, I went from a 434 to an 800 in less than a year.
That's insane.
It's not.
I went from 570 to 720 in less than a year. Yeah. Right? Okay. It sounds like, I feel like there's a tip coming on, man, because I did it in this way that most people don't know now. And I'm going to share that with the people in the podcast.
Well, go ahead. Tell them how did you do it? I can tell you how I did it.
Okay. You know what? Tell me how you did it.
Right. So, met this young woman who worked in the credit industry, in the debt collecting industry. Not my roommate. Met her, and she told me the tip about splitting your payments.
Okay.
She told me the tip about increasing your lines of credit.
Okay.
Every couple of months, where it wouldn't negatively affect you. So.
What do you mean, like increasing your credit line?
Yes. So I wasn't actually opening new credit cards. I was just increasing my line of credit.
Okay. Like how long? For the people who don't know, how long can you wait to increase your credit line again? Like, is it
really
depends. 3 or 5 months? I thought it was like 5 months.
It really depends. 5 months is better.
Okay.
I was doing it every 3 months because I didn't care.
Oh.
My goal was to continue to increase my credit score, right? Because this was a time in my life where I'm making 6 figures, my credit score is crap because I didn't know anything about credit.
Right.
So I have the money. So what I was doing was I was going out there and saying, "Hey, I got this credit card." At that time, it was like $1,000. Like, cause I said I wasn't really paying attention to my credit.
Okay.
Took that $1,000 credit card. I kept buying stuff that was near $1,000 and paying it off every month for a few months. And 3 to 5 months later, saying, "Hey, I want a credit increase." So it went from $1,000 a month to $5,000 a month.
Wow.
So I'm like, cool. Now I'm spending up close to $5,000 a month, right? Because I'm using it for all my regular expenses.
Right.
So all my regular expenses are being charged on my credit card, but I'm paying it off.
Man, I need to do that.
Sit. Yeah. So I'm not letting it sit. Boom. And so then when I go and ask for a credit increase, it went from $5,000 a month to $10,000 a month.
Wow.
Doubled.
Wow. So
right?
you shot up from 1,000 to 10,000.
Yes.
So if you don't have no money, man, this is a good tactic.
Very good tactic. I didn't have. I mean, I had the money, but I didn't have it's like
right.
You only spend what you can afford to pay off.
Mm-hmm.
And so from there, I went and I took more money, and I spent more money on my cards, and I opened up a new card. So that card is $10,000. I open up a new card, they automatically give me another $10,000. So in that year time frame, I just kept doing that and opening up new cards, and then I borrowed money. So I went to the bank and saying, "Hey, I want to borrow. I want to take out a loan." And I don't. They just max it out. I asked for some ridiculous number, knowing I'm not going to get that number. And then they came back. They're like, "Okay, well, we can give you a $20,000 loan."
Wow.
So I took that $20,000 loan and I sat on it. I didn't spend any of the money.
Why?
Because I wanted to show that I could pay down a really high debt. So I took that $20,000. I sat on it for 3 months, just paying the payments, paying the interest. 3 months later, I paid the whole 20 grand back.
Wow.
So you just paid down a huge debt. You got this credit history of you paying down big debts.
Right.
I paid off my first car, which was $40,000. Showing I paid off a big payment.
Now this is all in the span of a year.
All in the span of a year.
Wow, you did a lot, man.
Then I went and I turned that $20,000 loan into a $50,000 loan.
Dang.
And I sat on that $50,000 loan because I didn't need it. And then I sat on it, paid off the payments, paid the interest, boom, paid it all back.
Okay.
And then credit score shoots up.
Wow.
12-month period, just making payments. And so the tips that I was given, I just applied them. And I applied them, I made a commitment to do this shit every day. Like, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna use my credit card as a debit card, and I'm just gonna pay it all off at the end of the month.
Listen, man, I'm gonna have to go back and listen to this podcast and do exactly what you just said.
Yeah.
Because that's crazy, man. Like if you're in desperate need of $50,000 for some reason, you can get there.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm not the biggest fan of his, but I think he said the same thing. Was named Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Hey, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad, man. I love that book. It's one of my favorite books.
It's a real life true statement. I mean, you borrow money when you don't need it.
Yeah.
I don't need the money, but I know that this is going to increase my credit score. So I borrow it, sit on it, pay it, then just take all the money that I have sitting in the bank, pay it back.
Wow.
So now it just shows that I'm able to borrow bigger and bigger chunks of money. And so it just shows it's longer, on your credit history, like you've been able to pay back these big loans. So they're more willing to give you bigger loans.
So like I was saying, it is a game of discipline.
Very much so.
It's a game of showing if you're responsible enough to deal with that type of money, that much money, And the more responsible you show, I guess this credit game, they're gonna give you more money, right?
Yeah. They'll allow you to borrow more and more money.
That sounds pretty simple, man.
It is. I mean, look at our
I
president.
didn't know it was that easy.
It is. Our president's gone bankrupt several times, right?
Right.
But he's shown the ability to come back from that, and he's been able to borrow money to take himself out of debt.
Right.
Like a lot of businesses borrow money, either get investors, an investor takes equity, or they borrow money from a bank or from someone else who already has a lot of money. So you shouldn't be afraid of credit and afraid of borrowing money. You should be just more cognizant of how you spend that money.
You should welcome it.
Yeah.
Because there's good debt and bad debt.
Yeah.
And that sounds like good debt, man. That sounds like if you have a bunch of credit that you're not using, but you have it, that's good debt. You can use that and leverage, your business or, your Shopify store, like we were talking about, for your own personal gain.
Yeah.
Right? That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool. Let me tell you about my tip.
How did you get
My
your credit score up?
Listen, man, my tip is nowhere near as advanced as yours.
How can mine is advanced?
That sounds pretty advanced, man.
Applying some basic theories of borrowing money when you don't need it and paying it right back.
Listen, man, my tip. Listen closely, man. My tip involves at least two people. You and a person you can trust. Right?
Okay.
Okay. So, there's something called authorization. Right? User authorization.
Authorized users?
Authorized users. Right? And what that means is if you put someone on your credit card as an authorized user, which means they can spend money on your credit card.
Okay.
Right? They get the positive of that debt, right? Let's just say it's in the positive of that credit card,
Yes.
and I haven't spent anything on that credit card. They get all that positive credit without having to apply for a credit card, so they don't get the hard inquiry.
That's a really good tip.
Right? So what I did with my wife, right?
Shout out to being married.
Shout out to being married again. If you listen to the first, go back and listen to the first episode. In there, I talk about how I just got married. So what we did was we came up with a plan. Me and my wife, we said, listen, we're gonna add each other's as authorized users on each other cards that have a positive credit authorization on it, right? So she had a card that was like $10,000 dollars on it,
Yeah.
and she barely spent anything on it, maybe just like $1,000 or something. She added me as an authorized user, right, to that card, so I inherited that 10,000 credit line, and since she only spent 1,000, I basically inherit 9,000 positive credit without having to apply for a card and get that hard inquiry. So what that did was, it basically changed the amount of credit that I had. So the utilization that I had, which was at like 50% overall, went down to like 30% or something.
Yeah.
Right? And then my credit score kept shooting up like 20 points.
Yeah.
Like every single month. You know?
That's dope.
And that was just one card. We did it with multiple different cards. She had a card that was 5,000, a card that was 8,000, and she just kept adding me, and that's how it just kept shooting up. So basically, if you know someone out there that has, let's say they have $50,000 on a credit card, like you, listen, man, you should add me as an authorized user. That will really work out for me.
It
man.
would. It would work out for you.
That would work out for me. I would inherit all your positive credit without having to get that hard inquiry, right? And I could maybe bring my authorization down to 10%, right? Because my overall utilization, because my overall utilization would be low because of that positive 50,000 that I just got.
True.
That will be super dope, man. You should do that for me.
I could, but we'll talk about that off the air.
Yeah, man.
Oh, but that's
Let's
actually
talk about
that's actually a really great tip, and that kind of goes back to my point about all the parents out there that are listening.
Oh, exactly, man.
Add your kids as an authorized user, and then if they don't even have to have the card, it's just gonna give them a positive, credit.
That's another thing you can do, because when you add someone as an authorized user, you can pick and choose where that card goes. So let's say you add, your friend, right? Let's say you and your friend came up with this, but you don't trust your friend that much, right? You get the card sent to your house, and then you just cut it up.
Yeah.
You just shred the card. They never see the card, but then they get all of the positives from that card, And that's if you're in good standings with that card, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to add someone if you got that card maxed out, right? That's going to affect them in a negative way.
Yeah.
So, to go back to what you were saying, you can add your kid, right, starting at 14 or 16 or something like that. They don't even have to know, right? So by the time they turn 18 or 19, and I'm pretty sure people are doing this.
Oh, they are.
I'm pretty sure wealthy families are doing this for their kids.
They do.
Already.
I mean, that's how I figured it out, right?
Mm.
I went on a trip to Tahoe with some high school friends, and the kid that was driving was barely 18, and he had just bought a car
Wow.
on his own, and he was like, "Oh yeah, my credit score is like 750," and I'm like, "How?
Wow.
What?
750 at
You're
18?
18 years old, right? I'm
That's
in my
crazy,
mid 20s
man.
at this point." And I'm like, "How did you do that?" He's like, "Well, my parents, started my credit when I was younger."
Wow.
And then
See?
yeah, and there he was a kid from a wealthy family, but not necessarily a rich family, not necessarily wealthy.
Okay.
So they were doing really well for themselves, and he had just bought a car, just bought a house. So they were doing well enough for him to own his own, house and car
Man.
on his own personal credit because his parents were taking care of his credit since he was a teenager.
Right.
So by the time he turned 18, 19 years old, great credit score, go out there and get a house, super low, mortgage rate.
Man, so they're winning throughout life.
Yeah.
So you're setting your kid up from the jump to win.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's what you should do. And I'm
How come
working
people aren't doing that, man?
because a lot of people aren't aware of how important credit is, and then unfortunately, a lot of people that look like us,
Look like what?
but they're black,
Oh.
black people.
Okay.
We're told that credit is a bad thing. Not everybody.
Not everybody.
It's not a blanket statement.
Yeah, man.
But then you
You gotta
gotta
watch what you say.
Yeah, I know. People come,
Coming for you,
they
man.
start coming for me. But yeah, like you don't learn that, and then you just don't. When you truly understand credit, it makes your life so much easier. It's like I don't have to deal with all this going into the bank and getting a decline. I mean,
Right.
don't get me wrong. There are very clear documented cases of people being discriminated against by being black and having
Okay.
good credit scores, and you still get discriminated against.
Of course.
It doesn't happen as much anymore.
That's America, man.
Yeah, I mean, we live in America, but overall, in general, if you come out there in that situation, it makes your life so much easier.
It does, man.
Like I didn't know that growing up. I didn't learn that until my 20s.
Man, I didn't learn that till like right now.
Yeah, right.
You're teaching me right now, man. No, I learned this like 2 years ago, man. It was already too late.
It's never too late.
It's never too late, but if I would have learned this at least 18, if I was 18 or 20 years old, man, I could have been sitting on a 750 or 800 or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? I could have been buying yachts. Right?
Well, I don't know about all that, but hey,
Yeah,
you
man.
never know. You never know.
You never know when you might need a yacht.
Right? I mean, I look at it when I was in college. I was a computer science major, and I saw how much money Facebook was worth back then. And I was like, "You got to be kidding me! You got to be kidding me! This is how much it's worth."
Mm,
I could have done this, right? But it's still all about execution, right?
Right.
I was aware, but I didn't act on it. So a lot of people who are out there listening, if you're now aware, make sure you go out and act on it, because if you don't, I mean, we're just sitting on information and you're not actually applying.
man, for real, man, because credit is life, man. Literally, your score follows you around everywhere. If you got a bad score, you basically can do nothing. If you got a good score, the world basically hands you everything.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Yeah, man. So, to bring up my next point, because I totally forgot where I was going with that. Let's say you start off with no credit, man. What should the people do? What should they do, man? Should they apply for a secure credit card, which is like you spend your own money, and then you get it back at the end of the year? So that's where you tap out. So you spend $300, and then you can only spend $300 in that card, but at the end of the year, they'll give you that cash back, right? And that's a great way to improve your credit. That's a tip, right?
Yeah. That's what I recommend. I personally recommend getting a secure credit card.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get a deal, it's even better. Like I got a deal.
You got a deal. I never even heard of that deal before.
I only spent $100 and I got $300, and
That's
I
a
got
deal.
$100 back at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at the end of 12 months. At the end of 12 months, always paying your payments on time. You get your cash back, and then now you have that credit card. And then you can take that credit card and get an increase on it, or you can get a better credit card.
So if you have no credit, or you're just starting up, secure credit card is the way to go. If you have bad credit or no credit, Credit One, man. I've been able to get credit on cars with like a 570 credit score, right? Credit One, I feel like it's the bootleg version of Capital One. And I've been able to build my credit that way. They have high interest rates, but I still was able to get a credit card.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And if you've been listening to the tips that we've been telling you, then the interest rate doesn't really matter. You don't let that roll over. You only spend what you can actually afford to spend.
Treat it like a debit card.
Treat it like treat it like your debit card in terms of purchasing.
Like if you have the money.
You have the money if it's a debit card, and then just pay it off because so spend it, pay it off. Don't let more than 10% of it roll over into the next pay period.
Now here's a cool tip. If you have, I believe it's, if you're in like the 720, don't quote me on this. If you're around the 720, 650, 720, they have something called the Chase 5 and 24 rule. You know what that is?
I don't.
Okay, so what that is Chase have these really, really good cars, man. They have the Chase Sapphire, Sapphire Reserve, and then they have other cars, right? These cars are really good, man. They give you really cool bonuses. You want to find more information about that, go to chase.com or something and type in credit. Because there's a lot of cool things you can do with the points, but we're not going to get into the points. And yeah, these cars are really good, but you can only apply for these cards if you haven't applied for more than 5 cards in 24 months. So basically, if you applied for 5 cards within the last 2 years, you can't get one of those Chase cars. You have to wait 2 years. So,
makes sense.
Yeah, man. So, and you want to get these cards. These are really, really good cards, man. So, I guess if you're starting out, man, maybe you should start out with a secure credit card.
Secure credit card for sure.
Maybe get kind of build up your credit a little bit. Yeah. You know,
find a family member. It'll probably end up being an older family member that has good credit.
Yeah, man.
Tell
that's
them to
a tip I use.
Authorized user, and just don't send you the card.
That's a secret right there, man.
So you're just taking these tips and building your credit.
Yeah, man, because you can really, really with the getting someone to add you as an authorized user, right?
Yes.
You can really, really shoot up super fast doing that.
Because you're getting no hard inquiries,
right?
And you're getting all the benefit of their positive credit.
So you could just stack on all the tips that we gave out, man. You could just shoot up from a 550 and a 750 in no time, right?
No time, under a year.
Man, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right, man. I feel like we gave him some good value, man. If we gave you guys some good value, man, hit us up on social and let us know, man. Did we help you out at all?
Yeah, and right. Also, if there's something you want us to dive a little bit deeper into, we can also do that. It may or may not be on the next episode, or we might just respond to you directly.
I feel like we should talk about it again, maybe in another episode, about like how to utilize the points, how to cash out, to get money, how to fly for free, how to stay in like rich cards and hotels for free, private jets for free. You know what I mean? Because everybody wants to know how to do these things.
Man, yes, the travel cards are amazing. You know? I had my entire flight to Philly and to New York covered because of my travel card.
That's amazing.
All my expenses just gone.
Wow. Not a lot of people know you can do that.
Yeah, just by knowing the right credit cards to get. Yeah. So once you start getting your credit score up and getting the right credits, you start finding the right credit cards for you. I travel a lot because I'm a consultant, so I was going back and forth to Philly and to New York all the time for business, and started like, oh, well, if I'm going to be traveling all the time, I might as well get a card that benefits me for traveling. After a few trips, the trips started paying for themselves.
So you got like some travel cards?
Yeah. All my cards are through Bank of America. I feel like Bank of America should be paying me for this right now.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like the loyalty thing, right? Bank of America was the first bank that gave me an opportunity, and I've just been loyal to them ever since. They may not be the best bank, but you never know.
Bank of America has some good cards. Yeah, man.
And Navy Federal. Yo, shout out to Navy Federal. They saved my life.
Is that a credit card?
They have credit cards, so it's a credit union. You have
Oh,
to.
Navy Federal, man. You can only jump into that if you have someone in the service, right?
True.
Okay.
So if any listeners out there are family members of the military or in the military, definitely go with Navy Federal.
Listen, my brother's in the Air Force. I need to call him.
You should call him.
Yeah, man.
Because those benefits are better than any other bank I've ever seen. Like, they're like, oh, well, we're going to give you new credit. Boom, here's $30,000.
Wow.
As long as you have a good credit score, mind you. I mean, you can't have a crap credit score.
Okay.
But they're very good to their members.
Wow, man. See, that's a good tip.
Yeah. So I have 2 credit cards through Navy Federal, and they give me a total of about $40,000.
Wow.
Credit.
So is that how you balling out of control, man?
That's not how I'm balling out of control, but that's how I survive.
Because you're supposed to be a broke entrepreneur with me, man. We're supposed to be doing this together, man. I feel slighted.
I am broke, right?
I feel like only one of us is broke here.
It's like
came to this realization.
I'm broke. I have a nice personal credit, and I have a nice business credit.
Okay.
So
yeah, man.
I'm able to borrow money to help me pay for stuff.
Yeah, man.
When I'm in between gigs.
Yeah, man. And listen, man. I got a lot of money in credit, but I don't have any actual money.
Same. My liquid cash is very limited.
That's that broke entrepreneur lifestyle, man.
Indeed.
I just thought of another tip, bro. Check this out. If you happen to go south with your credit, let's say you got a card, you maxed it out, right? You can apply for another card that has a balance transfer. What's a balance transfer? People want to know. So a balance transfer, not every card has balance transfer, but you can literally transfer that maxed out balance to that other card with 0 APR, so you don't have to pay that interest rate.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
I've done that a couple times.
Yeah, that's a good way to pay it down without having to pay that interest rate. If you can't pay the full payments, you just want to make your $50 a month payment, without any interest rate.
Look for those cards that allow you 0 balance transfer fees and allow you to not pay any interest for 18 months.
I only apply for cards that I have no interest for at least 15 months. Yeah. I only apply for those cards, right? Just in case something goes wrong and I can't just pay off the entire balance. I know that when I get that bill, it's not going to be stacked on with interest.
Indeed.
I mean, I know this now. I didn't know that when I was 21.
Yeah, me either.
So, if you're 21 out there, man, you're winning, man, if you listen to this podcast.
Yep. I wish I'd learned this stuff in my late teens, early 20s.
For real, man. So, I mean, that wraps up personal credit. So, real quick, let's just quickly dive into the business part, because we are entrepreneurs, right?
Yes.
And sometimes we need to have that business loan, right? So how does the personal credit affect our business credit or business loans?
So your personal credit affects your business credit initially. When you first start off, you just open up a business and you want to get business credit, you need to have good personal credit.
Okay.
So you're not going to have any business credit history. So you're going to start off maybe anywhere between $10,000 and $20,000. Well, that's where I started. Some people may start higher than that, but I started off with a $10,000 business credit card. And then I did the same exact tips that I use on my personal credit card on my business credit card, and I was able to grow that $10,000 limit to a $100,000 limit in about a year.
$100,000 on one card.
Yes. Well, $100,000 on one account.
One account.
So I have 4 cards attached to that one account that total up to $100,000.
Wow, that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
I've never even seen $100,000.
I have. It wasn't in cash for me. I've seen $100,000 in cash, but it didn't belong to me. It belongs to one of my rich friends. But yeah, you just use those same tips. I mean, you're paying for things that are only business related that you can actually afford to pay out of pocket.
So the game still works the same. The same crafted credit score game that we talked about with the personal credit. It's the same game you play with your business credit as well.
Yep.
Okay, man. So here's the thing, man. I applied for a business credit card. I didn't get it. Right. I think my credit score at the time was like 620. So do you know? When is it safe? Because I don't want that. You don't want to get that hard inquiry.
680 and above.
680 is when I should probably start. So I can definitely apply for business credit.
Now you're way more likely to get it.
Wow.
So for me, when I applied to my first one, my credit score was 800, and I had an income of over $100,000 a year.
Mm.
So, but my business didn't have much credit. So when I applied for it, I got 10 grand. Wasn't a life-changing amount, but like 5 months later, I applied for another increase, and my increase went from like 10 grand to like 30 grand.
Man.
And then you start taking these huge jumps, and then I opened up a whole new card, and that card had 25 grand on it.
Wow.
And the next card had 15 grand on it.
So every time you open a card, you're getting like 20 G's, 15 G's a card.
Average about 20.
Wow. When I open a card, I'm getting like 1,000. You know, I've gotten up to.
This is business.
Oh, this is for business.
Yes.
That's right. Maybe I need to. Listen, man, I need to open up a business.
Card?
I need to open up a business card. Now, I have a business. I need to open up a business card.
Yeah, I mean,
because then I can apply for a business loan.
It doesn't work that way.
Okay. Explain it to me.
So for the business loan, you're gonna need at least 2 years of income on your business.
Okay.
It's almost impossible to get a business loan without 2 years of income.
Okay.
This isn't the old days where they would just like, oh, well, you're starting a business, cool, here's a business loan to start out. They want business history.
I have 2 years of income.
Then there you go. So
then I should probably start off with the business credit card.
I'd recommend that.
Yeah.
I would use that to scale it because you're gonna want to bring in at least 10 grand a month from your business for you to justify wanting to get a business loan because the loan's not gonna be cheap.
Okay.
And you're gonna pay that down.
All right. That's a good idea, man. That's a good tip, man. I'm gonna use that. Okay.
There's also out there. There's brokers. Brokers, and they charge you, so it's not free. But there are a lot of credit brokers and loan brokers out there. Make sure you get a good one. Do some research. But those guys can help you get that type of stuff before you're ready for it. They can help you get a business loan before you would normally qualify for a business loan because they have pre-existing relationships. They can help you get big credit limits before you're actually ready to get a big credit limit because they have pre-existing relationships.
So you pay them to do the work for you.
They usually charge anywhere between 6% and 13%. I've worked with a couple brokers, not from my personal company, but helping someone else with their company, and they usually average about 10%.
That's a good investment.
Yeah. So if you want to get a $100,000 credit line, they can get you that. It's just going to cost you $10,000 in cash. And me personally, if I know that I need this money to run my business, I'll trade $10,000 in cash for a $100,000 line of business credit.
That makes sense.
So it's not free, but it is another option if you already have a little bit of liquid capital saved up.
Right.
And maybe you don't have that 2 years of experience. You find a broker who has a pre-existing relationship with a bank or a creditor, and then you can do that.
That's good to know, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for that tip. I feel like we gave thousands of dollars worth of tips here, man. Like people charge, you know, so much money to help you fix your credit, right? And we just laid it out right now, man. We just put it down. We just gave so much value for free, man. I feel like we should build our own credit course, man. We can really like really get in depth, you know, with the points and really like show people like how to really do this, man. Yeah. We should build a course now.
Yeah. So if you guys are interested in us building out a course, let us know in the comments. We'll build out a custom course based on what the people want to know about.
Right, man. Right. I seen a guy uses MR points, and MR points is on some credit cards. I don't even know what MR points means, but he took those MR points, right, and then turned it into cash.
Yeah.
Like hard cash, man.
Yep.
You can do stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I cashed out $5,000 last year on my credit cards.
Points.
Yep.
Wow, man.
Turn those points into actual liquid cash.
See, people need to know how to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I'm just using my credit card like it's a debit card.
Yeah, man.
Paying it off. And you keep getting all those cashback points.
That's what's up, man. So, yeah, man, if you want to know how to do stuff like this, hit us up on Instagram, Broke Entrepreneurs. Hit us up on Facebook, Broke Entrepreneurs.
Broke Entrepreneur Podcast, yeah.
Podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, let us know. Let us know if this helped you out, if gave you any value. Let us know if you want us to make that course, because we can make that course. Man.
Yeah. Also, we still have to find out what are we going to talk about next week.
Oh, next week, man.
Since we're wrapping up credit right now.
Listen, man, I feel like I'm the one who came up with the credit idea for this. So this is, I'm gonna go ahead and put that on you because I don't have nothing off the top of my head.
I'll talk about for those out there trying to raise capital.
Trying to raise capital.
Like if you don't necessarily looking for credit, but you're trying to get actual investment.
That's a good idea, man.
Yeah. So how to raise capital and the pros with that, the cons with that, like how it works, how it's not easy. It is not easy. I'll tell you that a billion times. You could spend a long time trying to raise capital and never get it. So it's don't let anybody tell you it's easy to go out and raise money for your business. They're lying to you. But yeah, there's definitely like tips and ways to go around it. I've pitched in front of several investors.
Yeah, you have.
I've, been on panels to listen to people pitch.
Okay.
Give them feedback. I've helped people build out their pitch decks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something I think we can talk about next one.
Let's talk about that because I know nothing about that.
So you'll learn something.
I will be learning all kind of shit.
And the more questions you ask me, the deeper I'll dive, and I'll start remembering things.
I got questions, man. I'm a question guy, man.
Yeah.
I'll be asking all kind of questions, man. I need to know stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
So yeah, the tips will put you in a better position to get capital. It won't guarantee that you get capital.
Okay.
Only 1% of companies ever raise money, so it's hard. It's not impossible, but it's hard. Just trying to make sure people are aware.
But you can do it.
Yeah, you can do it. Just don't want people to be like, you told me this, and I didn't give me any capital. Like I wasn't able to raise money. Like,
yeah, nothing in life is
It's not
guaranteed.
guaranteed.
Okay, so this podcast isn't guaranteed either.
Credit. Yeah.
Credit is guaranteed.
Guaranteed.
Okay, I'll take that back.
But yeah. But yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
I got some good stuff for that.
All right, man. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. If you're on YouTube or watching this on Instagram, if it's going to be on Instagram, Facebook Watch. Right? I'm going to be on Facebook Watch.
You got to get approved for that. I don't know if we're going to get approved for that.
Why will we not?
You kind of already have to have a huge following.
Okay.
So y'all get us to 100,000 followers and viewers. Yeah, we'll be on Facebook Watch. But until then,
that's
we'll
easy,
on
man.
page.
I know how to do that.
Right.
I'm a digital marketer, man. That's what I do.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, we know. We know how to do that.
You know how to do that too.
I know. That's what we do for a living.
So let's just do that for ourselves.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, man.
All right. Yeah,
So, yeah, man. Now we got that established. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for
thank you very much
for listening and watching, man. And we will see you guys next time, man.
See you next time.
Thank you. Peace.